What's really going on behind the scenes of the biggest K-pop industry right now? Why did Jimin suddenly disappear from the spotlight, while Jungkook soared unhindered? Did HYBE really silence one of her members for the sake of saving the others? Find out now. Click, read to the end, and don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe to keep abreast of exclusive and suspenseful news like this one. Have you ever wondered how power can silence a voice, even from a person we've always believed would never be silent? Have you ever seen such a bright figure on the stage, slowly fading away without any reasonable explanation? Or have you ever had the feeling that something big is happening, but all parties seem to agree not to say anything? That's what's going on right now behind the solid walls of HYBE, the giant agency that raised the name of BTS, the most influential K-pop group in the world. However, big names don't always mean transparency. And today, we're going to dissect an enigma that has led many army, industry observers, and even the South Korean media to question the truth that is being hidden. Did HYBE deliberately silence Jimin in order to protect Jungkook? Its signs cannot be ignored. The last few weeks, Jimin's name seemed to disappear from HYBE's big promotion map. Even when other BTS members like Jungkook get on the global stage, from collaborations with the world's top singers to being the main face in various global campaigns, Jimin is barely audible. Not only that, his public appearances were less and less frequent, and when they appeared, his attitude changed dramatically. Shut up. Cold. As if burdened with something. An internal source who did not want to be named stated that there is a behind-the-scenes tension involving the two most popular members of BTS. Jungkook, who has recently completed several major solo projects with tremendous success, is touted to be HYBE's top investment for its global expansion strategy. And an investment of this magnitude, according to the source, should not be disturbed by internal matters that have the potential to tarnish the good name or change the public narrative. However, there is one surprising thing. From leaked internal schedule footage, Jimin was supposed to be part of several major projects this year, including a surprise concert that was canceled just days before it was announced. Even more surprising, according to the document, the reason for the cancellation was not health, as publicly claimed, but rather the strategic recommendations of the executive management on the stability of the artist's equity. What is the meaning of this seemingly cold and technocratic phrase? A Korean entertainment industry analyst explained that the term usually refers to the company's measures to avoid negative exposure to one of its artists, not because the artist is problematic, but because his involvement could create problems for other artists being picked up. In this regard, the public began to ask, what did Jimin really know? Or what did he do? To the point that HYBE felt the need to pull him out of the limelight in order to maintain Jungkook's stability. It is important to note that this is not groundless speculation. Some time ago, a short video circulated of Jimin and Jungkook's interaction backstage at a music show. In the video, Jimin looks completely different, depressed, even refusing eye contact with Jungkook. Fans who had followed the two for years immediately sensed something was wrong. This is no ordinary tension. This is something deeper and darker. Is it because of personal issues? Or is there a scandal that is about to explode and HYBE has to choose one side to protect? Furthermore, a former HYBE stylist who now works abroad anonymously revealed that during one of the filming sessions for an international commercial, Jimin was banned from attending suddenly, even though he was already on the list. The reason is, there are concerns of interpersonal dynamics that interfere with the smooth running of production. This phrase, although it sounds neutral, gives a hint that the matter is not just about promotion. Rather, there is a serious conflict that leads to extreme decisions. But this is where the real climax begins. A few days ago, the Twitter account of a former HYBE trainee uploaded a long thread containing claims that Jimin had access to personal information regarding some company decisions that could have a big impact if leaked. The thread went viral before it was deleted, but a number of screenshots went viral, showing details of the conversation and internal notes linking HYBE's major decision to pressure for Jimin not to make a public statement. He knows too much, and he's too emotional not to divulge it. HYBE can't risk it, wrote one of the quotes in the screenshot. Now, let's pause and think. If all this is true, then HYBE is not only shaping a public narrative to protect their investment in Jungkook, but is also actively pressuring one of its biggest artists to remain silent. This is no small decision. This is sacrifice or even betrayal. What would happen if Jimin finally spoke? Will he open the internal disgrace that has been tightly closed? Or is it fueling a crisis of confidence in HYBE and the K-pop industry as a whole, amidst the sophistication of the Korean entertainment agency's public image and PR power? We must not forget that these idols, while seemingly perfect, are also human. They feel pressure, conflict, and difficult decisions. If it is true that Jimin is being silenced, then this is not just an internal drama, it is a warning about how power can rob the voice of a person who has given so much. The public is now waiting, with a pounding heart and a head full of questions. Will Jimin again appear and speak? Or will he continue to be silenced in order to keep the narrative perfect for Jungkook? And if indeed this was HYBE's strategic decision, until when could they keep everything hidden? Increasingly, public pressure is increasing. The army began drafting petitions, demanding transparency, and the global media began to highlight Jimin's increasingly conspicuous absence. In a world built with harmony and solidarity, a painful irony is now emerging from behind the stage that perhaps, to protect one shining star, the agency must sacrifice the light of another. But the public is not blind. The more people who dig, the stronger the claim to truth. Do you feel it too? That something big is about to happen? That the wall of silence that HYBE built will soon collapse, ChatGPT. And now we come to the most controversial part, which makes many behind-the-scenes parties start to get uncomfortable. It's no longer about Jimin's promotion or absence from the public schedule. It involves power play, media manipulation, and absolute control over the public image of individuals who should have control over their own careers and voices. Some diehard fans are starting to notice a suspicious pattern. As Jungkook prepares for the release of his solo album on an international scale that has never been given to any other BTS member before, suddenly unpleasant rumors about Jimin begin to circulate without evidence. But enough to make the public wonder. Some even suspect that these rumors do not arise organically from the public, but are deliberately fueled by coordinated anonymous accounts. Not one or two, but hundreds. Is this an internal black campaign? Does anyone consider Jimin a threat to Jungkook's big project and feel the need to silence him through subtle character assassination? More worryingly, in one of the old live broadcasts that is now back viral, Jimin once said one sentence that has now become very relevant. Sometimes, even when we want to talk, we can't, because we know words can destroy too much. At that time, the sentence sounded like an ordinary emotional reflection. But now, the sentence was like a distress signal that was only realized when it was too late. Some industry watchers are starting to speak up implicitly, because talking too frankly can be risky. They called the existence of narrative control practices through emotional pressure and exclusive contracts that severely restrict the artist's freedom of speech. That is, if Jimin really knew something big, whether it was a management scandal, manipulation of royalties, or an internal conflict that generated tension, he would not have been able to reveal it without endangering his own career. And this is where the controversy lies. If it's true that HYBE is guarding the grand narrative for Jungkook's sake, it means that they are actively choosing who to defend and who to sacrifice. A system that ultimately displays only perfection on the surface, but is fragile and full of wounds inside. It's no longer about artist management. It's about who is deemed worthy to be rescued during a storm, and who is left to drown in silence. Small but real actions began to emerge. Big fan sites that used to focus on Jimin began to close accounts. The international fanbase that had been vocal in supporting him was suddenly silent. Meanwhile, Jungkook actually gained tremendous momentum with massive promotional support from companies, fashion brands, and even the South Korean government itself. Is this just a coincidence? Or is this part of a huge scenario for creating a perfect icon that should not be associated with any internal conflicts? Jimin, known for being emotional, sensitive, and empathetic, can be too dangerous for a system that requires absolute stability. Ironically, it is precisely because of these qualities that he is loved by millions. But in the modern entertainment world, fans' love isn't always enough to protect someone from the industry's slippery and deadly political scenarios. There were rumors that Jimin had wanted to take legal steps against the narrative that harmed his name, but was prevented by the management. Even his own lawyer, who is usually responsive, was suddenly silent when asked by the media. This opens up a new question. Is Jimin being systematically isolated, not only from the public, but also from legal support? Even more provocative comes when some analysts compare this pattern to what happened to previous K-pop artists, who eventually chose to leave or even experienced mental health crises due to pressure that was not seen publicly. Will Jimin be the next big name to fall quietly because the system refuses to make room for those who are too honest? Meanwhile, the fans began to split. Some defended Jungkook, stating that he could not have been involved in this sacrifice. Others began to voice concern that Jungkook's too clean and smooth success seemed to be paying off handsomely with Jimin's disappearance from the world stage. Here's the tipping point. HYBE can't keep quiet. If they choose silence, the public will continue to devise theories. If they give an explanation, it could be that they are reinforcing the suspicion that something is being hidden. Their position was already fragile, and every step was now being watched with keen eyes. The question now is not only about whether or not Jimin is silenced, but how long will this system last before it finally explodes from the inside? And if the explosion does happen, be prepared. Because it's not just about one artist. It's about how the industry treats humans behind their megastar image. It's about who is allowed to shine, and who is silenced when their voices are too real to be accepted. Oh, you still think this is just a conspiracy theory? Or is this the beginning of the biggest reveal in K-pop history? And as time goes on, the tension does not subside. It thickens even more, as if the air around the names of Jimin and Jungkook becomes an electric field ready to explode at any moment. What used to be a quiet murmur from the fandom community has now turned into a sharp, open question. Is all this part of the scenario of erasing the identity of a Jimin in order to form the perfect narrative of a Jungkook? Among the growing whispers, one thing is clear. It's not just about different career paths or different numbers of endorsements. It's about the power of who is rewriting BTS's history in the post-military era and who has written out of the story, slowly, quietly, but very effectively. We are witnessing something that has never happened in the K-pop industry on such a scale, reshaping a living legend, while systematically removing parts that are considered unprofitable. The thing that makes it even darker is the fact that Jimin is not just one of the members of BTS. He is a figure that for years has been considered the emotional heart of the group. His voice, his dedication, even his tenderness have touched millions of people. But in a system that values only efficiency, control, and profit, softness may be considered a weakness. And that's the most painful point. A person who gave his whole life to groups and agencies is slowly being removed simply because he is too human. Even more astonishing, the news that had blown from industry insiders showed that there was a document revising BTS's brand narrative where Jimin's name was placed minimally in the group's promotional materials for the future. Though he was a vital part of the songs that lifted BTS to the top of the world. Even some upcoming documentary clips are touted to have been rearranged to focus solely on the artistic journey in line with the now developed global profile. And unfortunately, that means highlighting Jungkook and shifting the spotlight away from members not considered strategic. How is it that someone who was once a pillar is now only seen as a variable that can be removed to simplify a new narrative? And why is the public silent when this is happening so blatantly? There was also more provocative news, something that even the Korean media was reluctant to touch openly. That in one of the internal meetings with investors, a HYBE executive once called the strategy of singularization of individual brands that will be run as a new model of global expansion. In the presentation slides, there is only one face of the BTS member that is plastered large, Jungkook. The others? Run away. Dim, including Jimin. It's not just a business strategy. It was an affirmation that the system was preparing a single new god to be worshipped by the global masses and was ready to remove anyone who could overshadow or even question the new god's journey. In this context, Jimin's removal is not a coincidence, but a decision. We have to question. Where does the agency stand when the values built over the years by BTS friendship, solidarity, equality between members are twisted and bent in the interests of individual image? The most shaking came from a leaked conversation that appeared on one of the industry's secret forums, where it was mentioned that Jimin once tried to talk about this inequality in an internal forum, and the response was the restriction of access to already promised solo projects. Not only restrained, but systemically punished. This is no longer mere tension between members. It is a form of corporate gaslighting, where individuals are forced to question their own perceptions simply because they are voicing injustice. Ironically, all this is done amid the public image that HYBE has built as an agency that supports its artists' mental health, which upholds transparency and well-being. But the reality? Behind the scenes, they remove the most vulnerable and most courageous voices at once. And now, with Jungkook on the rise, signing contract after contract, setting record after record, Jimin is like an intangible shadow. Whenever fans ask where he is, the answer is always corny. Taking a break, preparing a project, or worse, supporting other members from behind. But how long does a person who has stood at the very front have to support from behind? Until when do we let the system shut up those who want to talk? Today, pressure does not only come from the public. The international fanbase began to unite, creating hashtags, writing open letters, and even raising funds to investigate further. For them, it's not just about idols. This is about justice. Because if Jimin can be treated like this today, who will be the next victim? Even more heartbreaking. To date, Jimin has not made a single personal statement explaining his absence. And from the long experience of the Korean entertainment industry, when an artist chooses silence, it's not because they don't want to talk, but because they are not allowed to talk. And it is precisely from silence that we must read the loudest signals. This is not cheap speculation. It's an attempt to open the public's eyes to how the industry can trap its own artists, shape narratives for particular interests, and silence the voices that matter most, those who aren't afraid to uncover the dark side behind the spotlight. Now it's all up to us. Will we continue to be comforted by the perfect image built on silent sacrifice? Or will we demand justice, transparency, and equal speaking space for all the members who have shaped BTS's history together? Don't let this story be buried in silence. Voice your opinion. Spread the truth. Click like if you believe that no artist deserves to be silenced just because he knows too much. Comment now if you believe it's time for this industry to change. And subscribe to continue to uncover the other side of a world that so far only looks sparkling from the outside, but is full of wounds inside. This story is not finished. This is the beginning of a bigger revelation. And you're watching, second by second, chapter by chapter. The truth will always find its way, even if it means having to tear down a giant wall called HYBE.